December 23rd, 2019 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're with us this morning. We will begin, as we always do, with an invocation, and Pastor Rick Nolman from Niagara United Methodist Church is with us. If you please stand and join us in prayer.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we just give you thanks and praise this day that we can gather as we are today, as in this country that's so great, and that you give us this opportunity to discuss and to talk and to plan for the future of our county. So, Father, I ask you today to bless those servants who have come here today to serve you and to serve this county. Bless them with the strength, the courage, and the wisdom to make the decisions that are best for the people of this county. But Father, let your Holy Spirit rain down upon us today. And may we feel your presence and know your love. It's in Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen. Okay.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Master McCollum. Here. Master Berry.
Here.
Master Putman.
Here.
Master Moran.
Here.
Master Southern.
Here.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You have the minutes of the December 10th, 2019 Fiscal Court meeting in front of you. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Move to accept. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other clarifications, additions, or corrections? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have with us today members of our Sheriff's Department, and we wanted to take the time to recognize one of their own. And this time I'd like to ask Sheriff Ed Brady to approach the podium and bring with him Deputy Aaron Daniels.
Thank you, Judge. The judge thought it might be beneficial. We have a short video we're going to show you of the events surrounding what is bringing Deputy Daniels this recognition today, and he wanted me to just briefly describe it before we show the video. It may make more sense. Kentucky State Police got in pursuit of a drug dealer coming out of Owensboro several weeks ago, and the pursuit happened to turn off on Highway 1078 out near Zion. It proceeded through Zion and came in Highway 351. Deputy Daniels was out in that area of the county, and his intention was to get in front of the pursuit and put out stop sticks, which will deflate tires and cause the pursuit to end. But because there was some delay in communication between the Kentucky State Police and dispatch, which is nobody doing anything wrong, it just takes a while to relay the same message 2 or 3 times, he suddenly found himself in front of the pursuit but did not have time to put out the stop sticks. It was around Graham Hill where he realized the pursuit was overtaking him. And as he came down Graham Hill, as you all are aware, this was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's 3 school zones: East Heights School, Henderson County High School, North Middle School. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the lights are blinking for the school zone. There's school buses arriving to pick up the kids. There's parents in the area picking up their kids. There's some children already out of school, walking home, trying to get back to the house. And Deputy Daniels had just a split second to make a decision. When he saw the pursuit coming up on him, and they were about 600 feet from the school zone, he decided the pursuit was not going to get around him. He was going to stop the pursuit before it got into the school zone. And as we all know, had it gone in the school zone, it could have been a terrible disaster. You've got the car being chased and 3 or 4 other police vehicles. So what we're going to show you at first is Deputy Daniels driving down the road. He has a rear camera, but it was not functioning that day. But you'll see him get in the middle of the road when he sees a pursuit coming, because he decided the pursuit's not going to pass me. You'll see a collision, or at least his car will fishtail where he gets rear-ended. It knocks him off into a ditch. Then the second video you'll see, his door was pinned where he couldn't get out. There's a great possibility these people being chased have weapons. So you'll see him crawling out through the passenger side and coming out with his weapon, taking cover, but also trying to cover for the state troopers who were there. So that will explain it. I think the total video will run about 60 seconds, and the judge will read the proclamation. He's about to get hit. You'll see him go to the middle of the road. There's the collision. He knocked the car back off the road again. This is Deepwood Drive where he gets out. Could not open his door. You'll see him now crawling across the passenger side to exit the vehicle. There were, I believe, 5 people in the car. They all spread out and took off. All 5 were apprehended. I think, number one, the quality of the video is outstanding. We can see what our people are doing. It helps us a lot in court. Also helps us on training issues. And my personal opinion is, had Deputy Daniels not taken this action, the potential for disaster was great, and we could have been on the national news, depending on if they hit something going through those 3 school zones. So with that, Judge, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you for that. Very illustrative. And I'd like to read a proclamation, Deputy Daniels' honor. Some of this will be information you've already heard, but allow me to read the whole thing. Whereas law enforcement is a challenging profession that requires officers to think and act quickly to ensure the safety of citizens. And on the afternoon of Tuesday, September 24th, 2019, Kentucky State Police were in pursuit of a vehicle whose occupants were wanted for felony drug dealing. The vehicle exited off the Audubon Parkway and traveled west on State Route 351, heading toward Henderson. And whereas Deputy Sheriff Aaron Daniels was on State Route 351 ahead of the pursuit, knowing it was heading his way. Because of the time of day, the pursuit would be reaching East Heights Elementary School, Henderson County High School, and North Middle School just as students were being dismissed. Understanding the traffic would be heavy with automobiles and school buses and also children on foot in these areas, Deputy Daniels knew the pursuit needed to be stopped before reaching the school zones. And whereas without regards to his own safety, Deputy Daniels pulled his cruiser into the path of the pursued vehicle, the driver rammed into Deputy Daniels' cruiser from behind. Deputy Daniels reacted by knocking the vehicle off the road into the ditch, ending the pursuit and resulting in the apprehension of 5 persons in the vehicle. And whereas through his quick thinking and actions, Henderson County Deputy Sheriff Aaron Daniels, without regard to his own safety, placed himself between our citizens and potential deadly threat and fulfilled the duties of his position with skill and bravery. Now, therefore, I, Brad Schneider, Henderson County Judge Executive, join with the Henderson County Fiscal Court to proclaim December 23rd, 2019 as a special day of recognition for Deputy Aaron Daniels.
If the family wants to come up and get some photographs, you're welcome to.
Any family members like to come up and take pictures?
Now, Aaron has prepared a 20-minute speech on this. Aaron, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Actually, Deputy Daniels, if there is anything you'd like to say, we'd welcome a comment. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up.
You know, Judge, I would say one thing. We're neighbors, and I feel so much better knowing that he's my neighbor. So I feel like he's watching over our neighborhood. But congratulations.
Thank you again, Deputy. Good job. And it is representative of our entire sheriff's force. Next in our packet is second reading of the Solar Energy Systems Ordinance. And unless you would like the clerk to read the whole ordinance again, I would entertain the ability to just read the summary.
Summary would work good for me, Judge.
Anybody else object to that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Not sure we need a motion, but with your permission, I'll just have the clerk read a summary.
Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Henderson, ordinance number 19-07, ordinance amending the Henderson County zoning ordinance found in the Henderson County Code of Ordinances in Appendix A thereof, establishing a new article, Article 30, regarding solar energy systems, SES, and establishing design standards and requirements therefor.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we'll call the roll. I'm sorry.
Well, we need a couple motions first.
You need a motion.
Motion to accept.
I move to approve.
Second.
Second. Please call the roll.
Thank you. Manager Southern? Aye. Manager Moran?
Aye.
Manager Putman?
Aye.
Manager McCall?
Aye.
Manager Berry?
Aye.
Judge Snyder?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next in your packet is a proposal from Moit Concrete, Audubon Sand and Gravel for permission to dredge in Henderson County's portion of the Ohio River. These dredging leases are non-exclusive. As you might know, Pine Bluff is a dredging company that currently works our section of the Ohio River. But again, these are non-exclusive opportunities. And in your packet, you have a proposal letter from Mr. Aaron Moit. And he's with us today. If I could have Aaron come to the podium.
Just sit down for a phone call.
Okay. Anyway, the numbers for the royalties in this proposal letter mirror what we currently have with Pine Bluff. The lease would be identical to the one that we reached with Pine Bluff. And you'll notice that in this proposal, Moit has not yet gotten permission from the Army Corps of Engineers. Aaron, if you wouldn't mind coming to the podium, or Delbert. And we talked to the Moits about this, and we, of course, need that permit. Their indication to us was that the Corps needs to know we're in agreement to allow them to go forward. And so we make this proposal. I asked them to make this proposal contingent on getting the permit from the Corps of Engineers and also getting direction from the Corps as to the exact areas in which they're allowed to dredge, where there's some question about the state boundaries and other issues such as that. So we're going to rely on the Corps to give them the exact area that they can dredge. But thank you for joining us today. This is Delbert Moit, the Moit Concrete.
Thank y'all guys for having us. Shoot, I had to run up the steps. I was running a little late. Since we bought the property, one of our intentions was to develop it and make it good for Henderson.
Can you describe the property you're talking about?
The property at we call it Cross International now.
And this would be your basically materials yard.
Yeah, be a material yard to distribute sand to our other yards and also for resale. And we bring stone in too. We have brought stone in over the years, but to make a long story short, we're doing our due diligence, 99 rezoning. This is just our next step. You have to have the finances to do it, and we do finally,
So I would, after a period of review, ask permission to move forward on eventually reaching a lease agreement with Moit, contingent on them getting Army Corps of Engineer permitting and some guidance from them about the exact areas which they can dredge.
Yeah, and we do have all of our Corps approvals for our land, or the facility, but we're also doing more due diligence with the MSHA and just trying to make everything, all the I's dotted and T's crossed, and I just think it's going to be a great thing for Henderson County.
And again, this will mirror Pine Bluff's arrangement with us.
Judge, if I can give some context to that,
Yeah.
Pine Bluff had acquired Hunter Sand and Gravel, who we'd entered into the previous agreement with, and the court at that time had advertised for bids the non-exclusive right to dredge because there was a question about wanting to set the price, trying to figure out what the right price was. And at that point, Hunter Sand and Gravel was the only bidder, and so that kind of established what the going rate was. And at some point in the future, that may be something the court may or may not want to revisit as far as that price. But at this point, I do think it makes sense for, if anything, to at least mirror the Pine Bluff amount as that being the established price.
And these are annual leases.
Yes.
I'm for this. I think these are good people, and I think they'll do the county a good job. But I do think that it is required that we advertise for these every so often. Now, I don't know. I'll let our county attorney tell us when we need to do that again. And this will only be for the area between the middle of the thread of the stream, as it's called. There's a statute on this.
Right.
Over to the Indiana side of the river.
Yeah.
So
Not in the sailing line.
No, not in the
Yeah.
sailing line. And if you're coming on the Henderson County side of
Right.
the line, you need to talk to the personal landowners that own the land
Right.
adjoining the river. So that just so everybody's clear.
Yeah, and a lot of that on the Henderson side too. It depends on what part of the river you're in. You know, there's really not the Corps won't let you so far from the bridge, so far from the cell line, so far from a buoy, so far from a, and we
They've
have
got
engineers.
rules on it, and
Yes.
most of the time their main channel is on our side of the river, so that
Yeah.
makes it nice and
Yeah,
And again, that's spelled out in the Hunter lease, and we're going to mirror that. We're also asking for Delbert and Aaron to get a little bit of direction from the Corps about exactly where they want
Right.
you in writing and,
Right.
and where they don't want you. And that's pretty perfunctory.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We look forward, when you get your permissions, to signing the lease agreement with you, and wish you the best of luck.
thank you, thanks the whole court,
Welcome.
and it would hopefully be soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Delbert, did your brother get that tree taken care of?
Oh, Brother Roger's always working on something. And if it's a tree, I'll be on the other end of it.
Cardinal
most likely.
Lane, I think. Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, that's in the city limits, but
The next item in your packet is the renewal of agreements to handle water treatment both in the Judicial Center and the Fiscal Court. These are ongoing agreements with Aquaphase to help treat our water. The only reason this is in your packet today is because it does involve a contract. This costs the county something like $600 or $700 a year. It's not a question of being afforded. It's just that we need a contract with them, and we bring all contracts to Fiscal Court. So if there's not any questions, again, this is an ongoing vendor of ours, but we do need to sign a contract.
Judge, I've reviewed the agreements. They're approved as to form and legality. You will notice that the Aquaphase representative marked out a few things and initialed it at my recommendation. And when you execute it, assuming you're approved to do so here in a moment, I would ask you to initial by each of those strike-throughs, and then everything should be good.
Will do.
that's waiving a jury trial.
They wanted a lot of interesting things in there, and it was their standard contract, and they were fine with taking it out.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will get those executed. Similar documents next. We have copier agreements that are coming up for renewal. These also are well under the $30,000 mark. These are about $9,000 each. Copiers for the detention center and for the fiscal court. We signed them in. We asked for 3-year leases that will take us to the end of your terms. And after review of several bids by staff and also input on confidence in some of these companies by staff, they have recommended a proposal by Advanced Document Solutions. They were the least expensive and also have the confidence of staff in servicing them correctly. So, again, this is a contract, so that's why I'm bringing it to court. Any questions about these?
Move to accept.
So, the jail's amount is $46,000. So did they bid it out? Fiscal court's amount was about $9,000. So.
Yes, we have to have 5 because of the different areas and the different buildings. However, the machine for 2 different areas, that gets paid out of the commissary account, so it's not part of this. So actually, 3 of them are paid out of the jail fund, 2 are paid out of the commissary profit account.
You live on paper, don't you?
But are we still not subject to bid laws?
I would defer to Brenda on that, but I would believe if you're spending that much with one vendor, that probably puts you.
Or do we need to separate?
It's $1297.55 plus the actual small fee for the page, and that's for a 36-month period.
And this is in the nature of a lease. However, it is that much with one vendor.
$15,000 a year is what you're spending.
And we've had conflicting recommendations on this because there are contracts that we have now that total more than $30,000, but because they're individual contracts and are less than $30,000 a year, we were not held to account on those. There was no finding on those accounts. So
That's why I would defer to Brenda, because the advice from the state auditor seems to change with the weather. So,
Well, it depends on the auditor.
It depends on the auditor. But in this situation, it is a 3-year lease, and all contracts that the county enters into are subject to the money being appropriated in those annual budgets. So with it being under $30,000 per year, that would be an argument that I would make to the state auditor's office. Whether they would agree with that or not, Brenda, I don't.
and it is safe to say you shopped around.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This includes all of the supplies as far as the toner and things like that.
And all the repair and maintenance, too. I'd make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
And,
second.
we have a motion and a second. I do agree. As Mr. Gold stated, this has been a moving target for us as far as satisfying state big regulations, and I've tried to be conservative, err on the side of safety with some of these, but I do think this falls under the idea of individual contracts can be parceled out by each year, spelled out in the contract, and if that's less than $30,000, it's okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions on both contracts? Yes, that was the nature of the motion.
I made a motion, yes.
I would note, prior to vote, that there's their agreement, and then attached to that is an amendment to that agreement that we went back and forth with them about changing again some of those standard things. There's also something that did not make my packet, but there's a third document that was a government addendum that when you go to sign that, we need to make sure that you sign that one as well.
Okay. Will do. Any other thoughts? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I appreciate it. Debbie Edwards from the Humane Society with our animal control reports.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You guys already have the financials. Most of my updates, I think, have kind of been ongoing. I do want to thank the detention center. They have actually made us some wooden pallet dog beds for all of our animals, and they are loving them. It's so much better to not have them laying on the concrete. They're actually up on stands, and they did an awesome job, so we appreciate that. We did buy a van. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the van that we had, but it was in really rough shape, and it was almost embarrassing to even try to drive it to Evansville, much less anywhere else. So we did finally get to purchase a van from the Chevy dealer, and we're waiting now to get quotes on maybe getting the logos put on with our new logo, and we can really transport some animals now. So that was in desperate needed. We are closed on the 24th this year. cleaning staff will, of course, be there, and the 25th, but we're going to actually extend our hours on New Year's Eve to try to better accommodate the public. And we've been having a lot of empty the shelter specials, which is sponsored by Fiscal. So the public only pays $25 to $30 for an animal, and then Fiscal pays the remaining amount of that adoption fee, and that's been very positive. So we've really gotten a lot of animals out. So we are doing amazing.
Do you need any more pallets?
We always need them. Yeah, we do have those few animals that want to eat them. We're actually got a few in the cat rooms too, and stacked them up, and they just love them.
Well, I've been burning some, so I will bring them to
Okay,
you.
absolutely.
I will take care of that.
We will take all the help we can get.
I'm sorry, I just didn't know that anybody needed them, so.
That's all I have.
Any other questions?
Yeah, me too.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I mean, that's the way the wine comes, and they've got a bunch stacked up there.
Jailer Brady, we have detention center reports on our agenda. Anything you'd like to add?
Amy, do we need to have a break and talk before, or is after the meeting okay? Sure. You're okay. Okay.
You have in your packet the Sheriff's Monthly Report, or well, Ed, we have Sharon's monthly reports on the agenda. If you'd like to say anything, good deal. We'll move right on past it. You do have in your packet County Clerk's report from Renisa Abner. Renisa?
I had it. What I did with it.
Good morning, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I would like to give you the totals for the month of November 2019. We have excess fees for the month of $90,583.06, and the total remitted to the county $118,786.55. That is $12,676.73 more than we remitted in November of 2018. So next month I should have a yearly report. Again, we operate on the January to December through the state. So, all right. Any questions?
Any questions of Renisa? Motion to accept?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gold, your report?
Judge, I've got a report today. One check for a flow-through from the city of Henderson, $458.33, and the other check that you'll see in your report, we're going to hold off on. There's a resolution needs to go with that. So today's total is $458.33, bringing the fiscal year present to date to $92,281.55.
Motion to accept the county attorney payments?
Steve, on the check collection, don't we give that back to you?
Yes, Judge. The fiscal court has always been kind enough to do that. It is by statute. It is for the operation of the county attorney's office, but whatever is in the balance at the end of the fiscal year is turned over to the fiscal court, and then I beg for it back. That resolution is not in your packet, so I didn't want to go ahead and turn that check over just yet.
Just for the court's information, that wasn't always the case. A fellow ran against the county attorney in Glasgow. He was a state legislator. He got beat by the county attorney and went back and passed a law that the county attorneys had to turn this money over at the end of June. When we set up the bad check program, it was under the condition that the county attorney's office pays for all the supplies, the equipment, the payroll for the employee that runs it, and all that. And if you take all the money at the end of June, there's no money to fund that and do that. So the county, when I was county, they did a resolution and just let me keep the money. And Steve's chosen to get a check, get a resolution, and give the money back to him.
The state auditor has told us we have to do it that way.
Okay, well, the state auditors are just, they change like the wind. But yeah, but that's and so I'll make a motion to accept this.
A second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments, questions?
And just a little additional context to that, the nobody writes checks anymore, it seems like. So what is coming through that account sometimes, in order to be able to write that check, unless I'm trying to artificially make the balance low at the end of June, sometimes we have to wait a while before we can actually write the check back to the fiscal court, just because used to be quite a bit of money would flow through that when everybody wrote checks, but now it's maybe $100 a week. Sometimes less than that. There have been times where our vendor we use for our letters has sent us a bill rather than any money. So.
Well, Walmart stopped using us. They did where they just scan the check and take it directly out of people's accounts. Then they turn that over to somebody, and they get the money, and they turn over the trash to the county attorney's office, I think is the way it works now.
Not even that anymore.
Yeah.
But we'll be presenting a resolution on that at the next meeting, Jeff.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second to accept county attorney payments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer Brenda Ryder with our fund transfers and claims.
I have appropriation transfers as presented. These are reallocating appropriations within the existing budget for the general fund and the road fund. In addition to this, I have a cash transfer request transferring $800,000 from the general fund to the road fund, and this is a budgeted transfer out of the general to a transfer into the road.
Any questions about the transfers? Small amounts to make sure we are keeping appropriate amounts of money in these line items.
I move we approve the transfers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? I want to reiterate the $800,000 is part of the budgeted amount transfer in that we periodically give the road department to keep them operating. When Bill needs the money, he lets us know. So
That would be included in my motion? Or do you need another motion on the $800,000?
it's included in the
Okay.
It's included in my second.
All right.
Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Claims?
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
These are the bank balances after paying claims today. The day-to-day appropriation line should be at approximately 50%. Additional claims from the general fund to Brenda Ryder and Paula Wilson in the amount of $3,161.73 each. This is the 2019 training incentive, and it is budgeted in the Treasurer's Training Incentive line. Also, in the amount of $3,161.73 to Angela Comer for the 2019 training incentive, which is budgeted in the Judge's Training Incentive appropriation line. All three of these are to be paid in the January 9, 2020 payroll.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion second to approve claims. I will make one observation. Number one, the health of the bank balances of the general fund should be noted. General fund, road fund, and jail fund, healthy, doing well. And just to let the court know, I've been in communication with the city about the progress of the 911 upgrade project, which has been ongoing now for several years. And as you know, the county participated in that project by taking out a bond of $3.568 million. We have paid down that bond to $1.656 million, and hopefully that will be wrapped up soon. We will get a final bill for our portion of it. Initial indications that should be in the neighborhood of $400,000, if I'm not my memory serves. and hopefully it'll be over too. It would be my intention to eventually offer to the court the idea of using the leftover money from the bond to help defease that bond and retire it as a debt of the county. We have the reserves to do that if we so choose. We are also examining how much of that we're able to actually do, depending on the covenants of the bond. But I just want to give you a heads up. That's my intention to at least propose that as a. If we do defease that bond, the general fund will owe no debt. And
I think that makes sense because you're going to have $1.2 million left. You probably can't pay the bonds off now because it's too early, and there'd be a great big penalty for doing that. And that's a pretty good whopping portion of that anyway. So I think you've got a good idea there.
Again, I'll bring that back when we are able to we can't do this until the project is declared finished, and it's not finished yet. So. Still arguments with Motorola about equipment, apparently. So, hang in there. Any other questions of Treasurer Ryder?
Vote.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get into good of the county, I would like to ask the county attorney to remind me on the France contract if there is an automatic renewal. Have you had a chance to glance at that?
Yes, Judge. Let me find where I put that. Shuffling lots of papers.
I hate to put you on the spot.
The Section 2 of that contract said the agreement for janitorial services said it's in effect for a period of 3 years, commencing with services on 10/3/2016, services ending on 9/30/2017, with a 2-year renewal option at the end of the 1-year term. It is silent as to exactly how that renewal is done. However, our course of dealing has been to continue dealing with them. Further on, it states prior to cancellation of services by the client, France Building Services must be notified in writing of the issue and given an opportunity to correct the issue within a reasonable amount of time. If the issue is not resolved, client shall provide a 30-day written notice of cancellation.
But I imagine the second option ends this year, if I'm not mistaken. 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19. I'd like permission from the fiscal court to
Continue it.
Well, no, to bid it out, to discover whether we have other competitors who could do this at a less expensive price for the same amount of service.
You need a motion for that?
Yes.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other thoughts about that? We're going to be bidding it out in January just to see where we stand.
The only other thought, every now and then you get an AG's opinion or something that's talking about our contracts and time periods, and there's some points they say it's only during for the term of our being in office, and whether you do something, I mean, and I know it's done, and usually it's in our benefit, so we don't question it, but I guess that's what it ought to be.
And typically what we do in those contracts is put anyone that kind of necessarily needs to be longer term, say, for example, long-term leases, something like that, is we try to make sure there's a clause in there where both parties recognize that the fiscal court may not be able to bind. However, that we're memorializing the intention is to make it during that time.
As long as we do that, I think we're good.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
I'm in favor of the bidding. I think that's a good thing. It just keeps everybody honest.
Okay. Well, we try to
Competition's good.
Yes.
check our options every chance we get with those things. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and we will begin that process. If anybody from the audience would like to speak for good of the county, please come forward.
Judge, I have one thing I'd like for Beth from the Gleaner to please put in the notice that we will be working, not the road department, but the rail company will be changing out the Ohio Drive crossing this week during the holidays. We will be supplying traffic control along with the Henderson County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff Brady has agreed to help monitor our traffic control while we're out there during this time because the road will be shut down at times and it will be restricted to one lane. So they're out there working right now I will have a better update, but right now the work is scheduled for Thursday and Friday to change out the crossing.
And just to clarify, there are two tracks there. There's a CSX track that crosses Green Street, and then there is a spur that crosses Ohio Drive headed towards Audubon Metals, and you're talking about the second one.
Right, Ohio Drive. That is
Ohio
correct.
Drive.
So, and on top of that, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and be safe.
Thank you, Bill. If anybody else would like to speak for good of the county, please come forward. If not, Magistrate Southern.
Well, it's been a year now, and it's been a pleasure working with all y'all. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and so far there's no regrets. So I appreciate it. I'd like to wish all y'all Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and look forward to next year.
Magistrate Moran.
I agree with Magistrate Southern. It's been a good year. A lot of learning experience, but this group has been wonderful to work with, and I really appreciate them. And I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year.
Magistrate Putman.
Thank you, Judge. Ditto. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone, and yeah, and it has been a good year. It's a good court. Judge, you've done a good job as well. I would like to say to Amy, thank you for all the assistance you give the Salvation Army throughout the year. And Joe Duncan, you can pass it on to him as well. And thank you, Beth, for a great article. Appreciate it very much. We've had a good year so far. Hopefully it'll get better in the next or today and tomorrow. So, but other than that, Judge, all's good and forth. Thank you.
Master McCollum.
Merry Christmas to everyone. It has been a pleasure to serve with everybody. I think we've done a good job. I think our finances are in pretty good shape. I did give everybody or send everybody an email on an article from the Wall Street Journal talking about it's a bike and walking trail around Atlanta and how much it is increasing the property values and what happens. I've also given everybody a copy of a DVD. The first portion of it talks about road building, talks about how it was done whenever Bill Hubiak first started in the 1700s, and it talks about. It also talks about the roadways and why they're numbered the way they are, and it's sort of interesting. There's also the last portion is about a bridge in Holland, and in Holland and Europe, they've made a big push towards more bicycle and walking paths, making things more friendly for the public, and how much it just makes people's property worth more. It makes the way of life, and I would like us to consider trying to do something to get outside, something to connect the city to the county outside 425 in some form or fashion, either along the creeks, along the railroad tracks or something, so we could, and I would push for horse trails too. They've got those in St. Louis. They've got them along the rails to trails from Indianapolis to Illinois, and the people pop up bed and breakfasts. I mean, it just has really created a better way of life, and you would be surprised what tourist dollars come in from people wanting to ride horses and bicycles too. And I would like for us to think about that in the future as well. And all is well in the fifth. Thank you.
Magistrate Berry.
Charlie makes a good point. I got that, and that is very interesting. I think that's good idea. That was a good article.
I'm jealous of Owensboro and what they've done. It's incredible, and you know the kids in those subdivisions can put their child on a bicycle and say, "I'll be over to watch your game. You go to practice," and it's safe, and it's just we've got Canoe Creek running all over this place, and it's a great. We've got to keep it cleaned out, so you got to keep a bed on it so you can get equipment on it. It just seems like there's an awful lot of nice places that we could make some places.
Anyway, thank you, Judge. It's been a good year. And Buddy, did I get a surprise? I thought by working in county government for 27 years almost, I thought, man, I got this whipped. I know this stuff. Was I wrong? Wasn't the first time I've been wrong, but it's been educational, and I've got a lot to learn. But it's been a good court. It's been a good year. And Merry Christmas to everybody. Aaron, good job to you and everybody. I've been there over the years, and those things couldn't be anything more dangerous, Harley, than a pursuit. And y'all do a good job. So, Merry Christmas. We're all good in the first.
Thank you. Mr. Gold?
Thank you, Judge. There was a year ago when they said, hey, there's going to be 4 new magistrates, that I was kind of like, oh my goodness, sometimes getting one up to speed is difficult, because it is a learning process. Like you say, there's no real training for this fiscal court stuff. I knew Magistrate McCollum had a bit of a background in it, but I've been so pleased and so happy with how much this group as a fiscal court has worked together and tried to get up to speed. And honestly, it was great working with you all this past year, because you did hit the ground running, and there were challenges that were facing the county, and you all hit them head on, and you did a lot of great things. And so I'm really enjoying working with each and every one of you. And I hope you realize that the county attorney's office is always here to help you anytime you have any questions about anything. That's what we're here for. And just really appreciate again the opportunity to work with each and every one of you. And we talk a lot about Henderson exceptionalism. We talk about how we've got the best clerk in the state, the best road engineer in the state, the best sheriff, the best jailer, the best judge in the state. And honestly, I think even coroner, Bruce, Henderson is an exceptional place, and we are blessed with a lot of very dedicated people that do a whole lot of hard work and do it at a level that is recognized statewide. But, I think it was very good to see Deputy Daniels appreciated today for the work he does, but also everybody in that department. I mean, from top to bottom, we have a top-notch sheriff's department, and sometimes what they do gets on video and shown and recognized like this, but every day they're out there. Any second something like that could happen. And they're ready to do that, and I'm thankful that they're there, and I'm thankful for the job that they do, because I know that every day you put that uniform on, you're going out there to protect all of us. And I thank you to each and every one of you that do that. Otherwise, things are good in the county attorney's office, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. I must say, here to all the sentiments expressed during Good of the County today. In the next few days, I'm going to be publishing, hopefully, on our Facebook page and other social media platforms a summary of what's been accomplished this year. And I think you'll be surprised, even as we say we've done a lot this year, I think you'll be surprised at how much you've accomplished. Sometimes you got to go back to the record and actually remember things that you've probably long forgotten, but that were done and were important. And we hope to show the people of Henderson County how much was accomplished by this court this year. And I can only strongly reiterate the idea that we have a great court right now. A farmer, teacher, union representative, judge and former attorney, law enforcement, former ne'er-do-well journalist, Republicans, Democrats, and independent. It couldn't be a better mix of perspectives, backgrounds, insights. I think it's worked well. I enjoy the debate. I think every one of you work from a position of trying to do what's best for the county all the time, which is so important and very refreshing. And so I'm thankful to have you all here. I'm glad the people of this county elected you, and I think we're doing fantastic things. Nothing goes as fast sometimes as we'd like. I know Charlie would like to have riding and bike trails here tomorrow.
Yesterday.
But you got to start somewhere. And what I like is that eventually we think things through and we try to reach a good decision, and that's what any fiscal court should do. So be looking for that summary. I do think it'll be a point of pride for you and help you understand what happens in fiscal court during the course of 365 days. It is quite a bit of work. What people may not understand is that every one of these magistrates serves on multiple committees for the fiscal court. Because they're community-minded people, they also serve on local boards of directors for civic organizations. And because of their duties, they're invited to every other chicken barbecue, fundraiser, burgoo, annual awards dinner, and I know they try to make as many of those as they can, but the time commitment and effort it takes to hold a position like magistrate beyond what you accomplish here in court is often goes unseen, but it is appreciated, and I know the people of your districts appreciate it. So this first year for this court, I think, has been a rousing success because of your efforts and because of your attitude. So thank you, and thank you for helping me. I'm still a relatively new judge as well, so I'm learning something new every day, especially from Mr. Gold, and it helps me when I know I have people around me who feel the same way about learning to do what's right and trying to reach good decisions. Earlier this morning, I emailed each of you financial projections that were compiled by Compass Group. If you remember, Magistrate McCullum and I both agreed that some sort of third-party independent projections about where the county's finances are headed, how pension mandates could impact that, and other costs, including capital requirements, could look for us in the next 5 years. That report has now been established. Brenda Ryder and I looked over a draft, and we both agreed with Compass Group that it will serve as the final document. What I sent you, you'll see the word draft on it, but it is the final document. And the nice thing about Compass Group is they will maintain these calculations on their database, and if we ask for a small tweak, for instance, reducing the amount of pension increase recommended by the state or increasing it, they can quickly plug that into their calculations and give us back how that affects the projections. And they'll do that at no extra charge. We ask them for a fee to do this for us, but this extra work will be just included in the price. So we'll be going over that in the Finance Committee in the coming weeks when we get back from holiday break. And if any of you have questions about it, it's a rather thick document, but if you wade through it, I think it's very interesting. And I will couch it with this caveat: anything the General Assembly does in the next 3 months could change all that. And we know how that goes. But with the current landscape, I think the projections are interesting. And basically a summary of the whole thing is in we're really good shape, but we have to be prepared for what could be next.
Brett, I think you also sent us the retirement projections.
Yes, from
the most current ones. And like,
Senator Mills.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they're subject to change too.
Right.
They look, if it works out, what in 2025 we're topped out, and we
yeah. Hopefully
hope the market doesn't crash and anything bad happens.
And I will say in advance that the Compass Group projections are very conservative. Worst case scenario for some of these options, and I think that's good to be conservative, because if we prepare for the worst and get the best,
it works out.
It works out. Yeah. So be looking for that. And again, if you have questions after the first of the year, please come see me. I'll leave you with this. Not only am I proud of the fiscal court, I'm proud of each of our county employees, and I'm especially proud of the way our departments work together. And there have been examples mentioned today. Especially proud of Aaron Daniels, who we're honoring today. But I know throughout our county team, we have people who are just as dedicated, maybe not stopping chases out on county roadways, but just as devoted what their task is in our team. And the trust that I sense between our department heads, elected officials, the help each of them are willing to give each other to get done good things for the community is really heartening, and I'm proud of that personally. It makes it so much easier to do good things at the county when everybody works together and gets along. It includes the county attorney's office and all of our other departments. So I can only hope that it continues, because it means so much to our ability to do what we do well and meet the needs of the citizens of Henderson County. With that, I'll wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I hope you get to spend time with your families in the next week. Enjoy the holidays. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn until 2020.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor can leave. See you next year.